Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Road to Motown podcast. In our second installment, we will have a very good one for you today. If you are unaware, today marks the opening day for the Tigers' short season A-ball affiliate, the Connecticut Tigers. In honor of that, today we will be focusing on lots of things Connecticut Tigers and the New York Penn League. I will touch on a little bit of history, notable players to come out of the Connecticut Tigers, and I will give you my top 5 Connecticut Tigers to watch this season. Additionally, we will have to discuss the giant elephant in the room. That is Casey Mize and his injury he suffered yesterday. I will give you all the information I currently know and a little bit more. I will dip into my Instagram mailbag and answer all questions sent through the mailbag story. Lastly, I'll let you guys in on my thoughts of the current rebuild and what needs major improvement going forwards. So let's get right into it. The Connecticut Tigers were started just recently in 2010. The team is owned by Miles Prentice, an attorney who graduated from the great University of Michigan in 1967. The team is located in Norwich, Connecticut, and plays their games at Senator Thomas J. Dodd Memorial Stadium, which can hold up to 6,270 visitors. Before Connecticut, the Tigers Short A affiliate was located in Oneonta, New York, where they played from 1999 to 2009. They played in a park named Demanski Park, which had held minor league baseball games since 1966. One notable alumni from the Oneonta Tigers was outfielder Curtis Granderson, who went on to have an outstanding career with the Tigers and is now playing with the Miami Marlins at age 38 years old. I mean, this guy has been around forever. The season he played with the Connecticut Tigers, or Oneonta Tigers, was in 2002, which seems like ages ago. He played in 52 games for the Tigers Short A affiliate and hit a stellar .344, getting on base at a .417 clip and slugging .495 in his 2002 season with the Short A season Tigers. So at age 38, Granderson is still playing. He's been a revered clubhouse presence and is taking the role of a clubhouse leader in the young Miami Marlins team. Granderson was a part of a massive 3-team trade back in 2009 where the Tigers traded him to the New York Yankees, who, fun fact, had played their short season A-ball team in Oneonta before the Tigers, playing there from 1967 to 1998. Tigers got a few notable names in the Curtis Granderson trade, including Austin Jackson, Daniel Schlereth, the great Phil Koch, whose legend still lives on today, by the way, and also some guy named Max Scherzer. Moving back to present day, the Tigers just hired a new coach in the offseason to manage the Connecticut Tigers, and that is Coach Brian Pena, who hit .297 and 229 at-bats for the Tigers as their backup catcher in 2013. He was very good in the clubhouse in 2013 and made a big impact that season, which I believe that was Jim Leyland's last season in 2013. So Pena will take the reins as manager for the Connecticut Tigers in 2019. He was just hired into the Tigers minor league coaching staff last season. In fact, the Tigers actually signed him to a minor league contract to try to play for the Tigers, but as the spring training kept going forward, it was evident that Pena was going to eventually get hired into a coaching role. They didn't know what the coaching role at the time, but as his influence kept getting greater and greater, and the young prospects kept looking up to him, they really, really saw a great leader in Brian Pena. So they actually hired him last year to be the manager of the Gulf Coast League Tigers West team. And all he did in his first season as manager of the Gulf Coast League Tigers West was lead them to a championship in the Gulf Coast League. So he will hope to bring that success to Connecticut, where he will beat out lots of new, young, and talented players. So speaking of the Connecticut Tigers' talent, I've listed my top 5 players to watch in Connecticut this season. I made this list solely off of the current roster, so guys like Riley Green, Nick Cantagna, Lipschitz, all those guys that the Tigers took in their draft this season will not be included. I do think that a lot of them are going to get a chance to play for Connecticut this season, as lots of lots of prospects that are just drafted end up showing up in Connecticut's roster, but it won't be like that for a little bit now. So I just wanted to focus on the guys that they put on their roster already. So speaking of that, if you haven't, make sure to go watch my last podcast, which happened to be my first from last week. I went in depth on my thoughts of the first 6 Tigers draft picks this season, and gave you guys a little bit of background information about each of them and myself. So, back to the task at hand. Let's start with number 5 on the list of my top 5 current Connecticut Tigers to watch going into the season. So, at number 5, we have outfielder Eric De La Rosa. De La Rosa, 21 years of age, measures in at 6'4" and weighs roughly 175 pounds. The native of San Diego, California, was drafted in the 7th round of the 2018 draft out of Grossmont College, which is a JUCO team. De La Rosa made himself known through just 13 at bats in the Gulf Coast League last season, slugging .769 and getting on base at a 500 clip. So the Tigers were so moved by that performance that they didn't even skip a beat. They promoted him almost immediately to Connecticut. And this is where the struggle started to begin for De La Rosa, as he struck out at over 36% of the time and just hit a measly .229 with little power. Yet, the Tigers wanted to continue challenging the young outfielder, promoting him again, even though he was struggling with the Connecticut Tigers, to the West Michigan Whitecaps. And however, as you would think, if you're struggling in the New York Penn League, I'm not sure what to expect when you get promoted to the West Michigan Whitecaps A-ball team. Let's just say the wheels kind of fell off the bus for De La Rosa. He finished with an OPS in West Michigan that wasn't even above 500. He didn't hit for any power. He struck out all the time, and it was just a rough time for De La Rosa. He hit below 200. So it was kind of a tough end of the season for De La Rosa. He came into the season with pretty high expectations. Obviously, the Tigers thought so, as they promoted him all the way up to the West Michigan Whitecaps, even though he didn't have a very good time in the New York Penn League with the Connecticut Tigers. But he did end the year on a rough note last year. But there's still a lot of tools that you have to like with Eric De La Rosa. He was ranked 45th on Lynn Henning, a prominent, now retired Detroit Tigers beat writer. He listed him at 45 on his top 50 Tigers prospects list. De La Rosa is said to have lots of raw potential with plus speed and a great glove. I mean, you would have to see. If you go back to Twitter of last year, there was highlights of him all over the place in center field. He's said to have lots of raw potential with plus speed and a great glove, like I said earlier. And at just 175 pounds as a 6'4", 21-year-old, there's still lots of room for De La Rosa to fill out with his body. He has great raw power, which they saw in his JUCO team in college last year. But this season's going to be all about seeing whether he can tap into it at the professional level. The speed, and especially the defense, where he's projected to stick in center field long term, are there, but he needs to find a way to cut out the strikeouts and utilize a pop in his bat that destroyed JUCO pitching at the college level. So with Eric De La Rosa, there's a chance that he's gonna go up to the Whitecaps a little bit earlier if he plays well in the New York Penn League, because that's where he finished last year. But this is going to be a big year for De La Rosa, because like I said, he really did struggle outside of the GCL last season. JUCO college players, they aren't as projectable as Big Ten teams like Michigan and big teams like Vanderbilt and stuff like that. So we still don't 100% know what Eric De La Rosa has. He's not very projectable at the moment. He does have lots of speed, and he has a great glove, as I mentioned, in center field. But he's still just 175 pounds as a 6'4" outfielder. That leaves plenty of room for him to fill out, to get stronger, keep improving. But I think the big thing with De La Rosa is the contact. I think he needs to start making a little bit more contact to try to utilize that plus speed that he has. He stole quite a bit of bases last season, but if he keeps striking out at the way he did, he's not going to be able to use that on the bases. So that's going to be the big thing that I'm going to be looking out for with De La Rosa this year. We'll be able to get lots of good looks at him. So we'll have to see with De La Rosa. I think there's something there. Lots of other people do as well. That's why the Tigers drafted him in the